Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. We are here today to discuss our April Fool's Day, April 1st, 5-game Premier League slate. So my name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I am joined here by Ryan Belongi and Jordan Cooper, and it is a very big day for one member of this distinguished panel that we have right here. Our own Ryan Belongi, he's getting married this weekend. So massive shout out to Ryan right there. And Jordan, I had a question for you to open things up with. So you two are both DFS professionals and you're also married. So do you have any marriage advice that you'd like to pass on to Ryan?
Marriage advice or just DFS marriage advice?
Well, the intersection.
He already knows the first rule of DFS. I mean, the first rule of DFS involves your significant other. I have a video about it. I released it God knows how long ago, a couple of years ago. First rule of DFS is that when you win, the first time you win a decent amount of money, you bribe your significant other. You buy them a gift. And once they know that, you're not just, not paying attention to them and building your lineups every Saturday morning or Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon or whenever you're doing it, that there's a financial benefit to them as well. So like once you get that taken care of, they'll let you build your lineups to whenever the hell you want. Other than that, I mean, what the hell are you going to ask me for marriage advice? I've like my marriage that probably doesn't look like most other people's marriages. We're very independent people.
Hey, that's great. Whatever works. But we have to give Ryan a little bit of razzing. We have to give him a little bit of advice to move forward. Ryan, my advice to you as a DFS novice, from my point of view, is to not explain like the intricacies of the game to your wife, because you run risk that she'll start making fun of you. So whenever Mo Salah scores a goal in a Liverpool slate and I fade Mo Salah, my wife will say, "Let me guess, you didn't play him." So she knows who the chalk is, and enough to razz me. So yeah, I would avoid doing that at all costs. But how are you feeling? You looking forward to it, Ryan?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Are you good? Is your wedding is your wedding tomorrow?
Tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be ready for the soccer games bright and early.
Right. Well, that's what I was just going to ask. It's like, are you getting married tomorrow? Or are you going to make sure to build your life as you're going down the aisle? It's like I gotta. There's no late swap in soccer because all the games are at the same time
tonight. So I'll be ready to go. And yeah, she knows absolutely nothing about DFS. She thinks it's like basically magic. I mean, she's not, she's not even American. So she just can't believe you can make money doing something like this. She doesn't even understand sports. She doesn't like. Yeah, so it's one of those things.
Does she think you're a drug dealer?
Yeah, she wasn't sure for a while, like what was going on. But yeah, and then to Jordan's comment, yeah, there's been plenty of bribe gifts already, and I'm sure there'll be more.
That sounds good. So you heard it here first in the RotoWire show. Bribe your significant other. This is the key to a happy marriage if you play DFS.
I was thinking maybe you were going to tell me, Jordan, maybe I could play 300 lineups now.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know why you do that in soccer contests when the prize pools are the way they are. I don't know. I never understood that to begin with in the first place. When the Saramek, 150 lineups. Why? If you win first place and that's your only lineup, you only 3 extra money. It's like, what are you doing?
I agree.
Yeah.
In football, though, when you play football season,
that's it. Football or whatever.
Sign her up, right? Depending on what state you're in. I mean, truthfully, depending on what state you're in, sign up for the sportsbook accounts and pour all those bonuses on your wife's account also. Like that legitimately is something that you could do.
Yeah, I wish. I'm currently in a state where you can't sports bet.
Yeah.
Here in Kentucky, they just passed it literally last night.
Yeah, and then you said that you're going to get limited right away. So congratulations.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait until they set this up later in the year or early next year. They have in-person registration for the first 12 months. So I'll have to go to Churchill Downs in order to set up my sportsbook account.
Oh God.
I mean, they'll have like DraftKings fans because basically all the digital stuff platforms have to be partnered with a horse track. That's the only way they could get this thing passed in Kentucky is if the horse racing lobby controls all of it. But yeah, I fully expect that I will go in person to register for all the sports books, and then within 3 days of betting egregious prop lines, be limited to about like $2.14.
Yeah, there you go. You can just grind your way up. All right, let's get into this 5-game slate. Just a quick overview of everything. So we have 5 games, so we have 10 teams to look at. The major storyline here is that Arsenal are going to be big home favorites against Leeds. So they're about 75% to win. They have by about a half goal the highest total of the game, and that match has the highest total, mostly just inflated by the Arsenal pieces. And then the other favorites, they're slightly less favorites. So around 60%, you have my seemingly favorite team. If you look at my lineups, Brighton and Hove Albion, they're hosting Brentford. So that has the second highest total. So those two are probably going to be the 2 most popular games to look at. And then the 3 remaining games are all toss-ups against pretty bad teams. So Wolves can't score a goal to save their life, but they're favored visiting Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth are favored against the Fulham team that lost like their manager and 3 of their players to like a red card brawl that happened in their previous game. And then Crystal Palace is now back under charge with Roy Hodgson. He's the new man. He's back managing Crystal Palace. They are very slight favorites hosting Leicester City. So I was looking at the prices and constructing lineups, Jordan, and I guess the first thought is everyone's just going to be jamming Arsenal pieces in. But I don't think you necessarily have to play, more than 2 Arsenal pieces, even in cash. So from a big picture DFS point of view, how do you see this slate?
You say more than 2 Arsenal pieces. I think in cash games you don't have to play any Arsenal pieces.
I don't think you have to. I'm saying like 2 is the.
I don't even think. I think actually, truthfully, I think Arsenal pieces are suboptimal.
Well,
on the slate, even in cash games. So like all the pick'em games are close enough that like the only big underdogs are like Brentford and Leeds. So it's like I'm probably avoiding those 2 teams, right? Because Arsenal have an implied total of 2.32, Brighton 1.86, but their players are all expensive. And then once we have like Gabriel Jesus back, like now you're going to get to the situation where Trossard comes on, and we got Reece Nelson in there. So it's like to me, the safest quote players on Arsenal like Saka and Odegaard, and Saka's 11.5 and Odegaard's 8,000, and the Brighton players, I mean, Solly March is up to like 8,700 or something like that. I'm for cash games. I'm looking at all the pick'em games. It feels like I don't have to chase goals on this. It feels like this is an old school EPL slate rather than like a pseudo Champions League type of slate where I think I could build my lineup and go, if no goals get scored, how does my lineup do? And if that lineup does very well, like that seems to be what I'm leaning towards in cash games. And all the extra, like to me, Saka at 11.5 from a floor perspective versus other guys that are 2,000 to 4,000 cheaper is about the same. But of course, the upside is Arsenal could, score 4 goals. But in cash games, do I need that? Because it severely hampers your lineup by playing some of these Arsenal players. And I'm unlikely to do so. I think we have some underpriced players. We have some high floor players that I don't think I need a goal. I don't think I need a single goal in my entire cash lineup to do well in double ups.
Ryan, what do you think? Do you think that Saka's too expensive and you're looking to the other 3 matchups as well?
Yeah, Saka might be too expensive. If you don't play Saka, you can make some just incredible lineups pretty much. But, what if he drops another 40 burger like he did last time? I don't know. So I think I might be in the minority here. It seems you guys and other people I've talked to don't really think you need Arsenal.
No, in my dummy lineup, I think it's like a decision if you play Saka or not. But I have Saka in my dummy lineup, and there are some slate dynamics at the defender position that make me think I can get away with it. But I've also been spending too little at defender lately compared to other players. So I think that's kind of like the trade-off is the main part of the decision. Adam's article, he doesn't think you need Arsenal though. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm just like, who are you going to play besides Arsenal? I mean, Solly March is just as expensive as all the Arsenal guys. Yeah, no, hold on. I mean, if there's anybody who wants to play me this week and not use any Arsenal players, I would play them for infinite amount of money. I'll put half my bankroll up against anyone who wants to play me if they don't use any Arsenal players.
I got 215 head-to-heads posted in the lobby, Ryan.
I will hop in. I mean, I don't want to take your money though. I don't want to like do it. It's not like it's just like more to prove a point. Like I don't see how you don't play any Arsenal on this slate. Then maybe it'll be.
I'm pretty sure, Ryan. I mean, we're what 18 hours away. I'm pretty sure that I will not have a single Arsenal player in my cash line.
Oh man, I mean, I don't.
Love take it. 215. You got $215. Go.
I don't love to hear that. In terms of your bankroll after this slate.
We finally have Ryan and Jordan disagreeing. This is the best show ever.
It's like, okay,
you know what I'm going to do? Ryan, what do you feel? Do you feel much more comfortable with Saka in your lineup? Right? Are you going to play Odegaard also?
I'm playing Odegaard for sure.
Okay, so if you play Saka and Odegaard, and I will play Morgan Gibbs-White, James Maddison, and Andreas Pereira, and I'll just be glad. Just try to run me down.
Oh yeah, awesome! You spend your money on 3 underdog guys and give me Arsenal. Yeah, I mean,
pick 'em games. Come on.
I mean, let's go. Okay, like I see. So there's a bunch like the guys you mentioned. There's a lot of like decent plays on this slate that are the but I mean, like compared to Arsenal. I see 2 players that I want to play on the whole slate, like McAllister and March. After that, the other guys are fine, but
I'll have McAllister also. But I'm also going to have McAllister.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like I would have been, I don't know, would have been more okay with fading Arsenal. I just don't love the other options.
Well, why don't we pivot to seeing how Jordan sees the forward position and maybe the cash game construction. So if you're not going to be paying 11.5K for Bukayo Saka, he's priced that high because he's more likely to go 90 minutes. He does take penalties. It seems like he takes slightly more set pieces, but that might be an artifact of like Trossard coming in and splitting with Martinelli. So Jordan, how do you see the forward position? Are you slotting in Morgan's Gibbs-White and then spending down at a second forward slot, or are you looking to do something entirely different from that?
Well, I think a pseudo Dinky do is in play. I'm not sure if I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to need it. But to me, like in a obviously I'd love to play Saka. It's not like I have anything against Saka. It's just 11.5. It's if he was 9,000, then sure, yeah, I'm plugging him in. Yeah, but 11.5 is a different story. Gabriel Jesus is way too goal dependent at 8,300. Probably doesn't play 90 anyway. So do I want to play 8,300 for him? His goal scoring odds are only plus 125. So I don't think I'm missing anything there. Morgan Gibbs-White, 7,800, a home matchup that truthfully, I'm not even sure why Wolves are even favored in this matchup, right? I almost think that Forest are a better team. He goes 90. He takes all their set pieces. I mean, like it's cash games. Can I get 12 points? Can I get a goal's worth of points from Gibbs-White without him scoring a goal or an assist? Yes. So to me, like, there's my first forward. And then I take a look. It's like, okay, especially if we're going to pay up for 3 midfielders, right? If I'm going to pay 6,500 plus for 3 midfielders, I need to find some savings. And there's one super saving and there's one pseudo saving. I think the super saving one is if you want to play Vinicius at 4K with Mitrovic not in and Willian not in for Fulham. Of course, his floor is low, right? He's better than Odeson Edouard, right? Because if he starts at 3,500, it's just that Vinicius, with the players that Fulham have out, Vinicius is more likely to play closer to 90, 80 plus minutes anyway. And if I need the salary savings, I can do it there. I don't think I'm doing that, but why can't I play Will Zaha at 6,300? Because that seems awfully cheap for a guy that plays 90 minutes and gets tons of peripheral points. The only thing that I would be concerned about, and this is, I want to throw it over to Ryan, is Hodgson going to affect the way that Crystal Palace plays, where they're more likely, he's the typical guy, the Sam Allardyce type. Come in, help us not get relegated. And next thing you know, they turn into a seed possession 60% of the time, have 10 men behind the ball, and next thing you know, Crystal Palace's attack kind of isn't all that great anymore.
Yeah. I think you're right. When he was there last time, they were one of the worst teams to target for DFS, just like you mentioned, the way they play, defensively on the counter, not a lot of guys forward, trying not to lose.
It's not like they've been particularly good this season, Crystal Palace offensively.
Right.
Yeah, but they play much more open. That's why we got guys like Elise and Eze and Jordan and IU and Zaha. Like, they get peripheral points because they do play more open and less defensively. But with Hodgson, I mean, that's certainly not going to be the case. But the thing that I like about Zaha is that he could generate points by him. He's a playmaker. He could generate peripherals by himself and play 90. And compared to if you take a look at the goal scoring odds, like it's not bad. I mean, like Zaha is plus 160 to score. I mean, he has better goal scoring odds than Odegaard, right? I'm not saying he's a better play than Odegaard. Don't get me wrong. Arsenal's going to rack up peripherals because they'll have the ball all the time, but it's not like I'm seeding that much upside, because if anyone's going to score for Palace, it's most likely going to be Zaha being involved in the goal. It's just that maybe the possession for Palace will be lower, which means that there'll be periods of 15 minutes where Zaha has 0 points, and then there'll be periods where he racks up 3 or 4 at once. Like those bunches, so it'll be a little bit higher variance. But for 6,300, Zaha has been priced at 8K, 9K and multiple times this season. He typically
you don't need to
7 or 8 points no matter what. So like for cash games, I don't think I need the salary to go down to Vinicius at 4,000. So like, why not play Zaha?
No, you don't need to sell me. I think Zaha is a fine play for cash, fine play for any format. Too cheap. I was going to finish the thing about Hodgson. You kind of did. It doesn't really matter as much for a player like Zaha. He's going to be out there 90, and he's just too cheap. And even if they don't have the ball, he's still going to draw fouls and do other things. I think Zaha's fine for that price. I wouldn't want to play Carlos Vinicius, but I get it.
So is your combo, Ryan, Saka, Zaha?
Well, yeah, I would use that combo. But if Trossard doesn't start, I think Martinelli might be the best forward, actually. I mean, I don't know. Like, he's only 800 more than Gibbs White. And if he's going to split sets and probably, I don't want to say probably, but good chance to play 90. And just a much higher floor from open play and a much higher ceiling. I don't know. If Trossard didn't start, I would be back on Martinelli here, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Saka and Zaha, I like that too. I think Gibbs White's fine too. I just think he's priced a little too close to Martinelli if Martinelli would have a share of corner kicks.
Doesn't Trossard being on the bench make him more likely to sub on for Martinelli?
I don't know. I think Trossard would come on for Jesus
instead. Okay.
Only because we're pretty sure that Jesus is not going to play 90.
Yes.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that. And also, Arsenal were sort of flying with Trossard in the number 9. And they looked pretty good at times. So I think like Arteta would go back to that.
Yeah, all right. So you can play Saka, Zaha. You can look to Morgan, Gibbs White as well. I really don't think this Vinicius is a good idea, because I just don't think that you necessarily need the money. But I guess that is in play. And someone has to convince me to stop playing Edouard in showdowns, because he's always start cheap. So I'm not going to be playing him in cash games on Classic Slate, I think. Anyone else want to share anything about forward before we jump to midfield?
I mean, for cash games, I don't think there's anyone.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone we missed.
I mean, if you didn't want to play for Vinicius, I don't think like Jaden Anthony is like awful. I just don't think you need the salary. I think the only way that you'd need salary there is if you want to pay up at midfield and also play Saka.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a pseudo midfield punt. I know we're gonna have to talk about this a cheap guy at midfield that may be underpriced or may not be underpriced, depending on how you view it.
Who knows?
Right. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing that guy in my lineup with how I want to set up my lineup. But I think that midfielder is like almost the linchpin of the slate, because your construction, great. Basically, Saka and Pedro Neto are the two linchpins, because obviously one is 11.5, so that's going to hamper your lineup. And then Pedro Neto's 4,100, which if he were to play like 75 plus minutes is significantly underpriced. The question is, does he play more than a half?
Yeah, I think that would change your view on Bukayo Saka, because in my dummy cash lineup, I do have Pedro Neto in, and I'm okay with him playing 50 minutes at 4,100 because I think he can do quite well. It was a scary fade last go round in cash games without him, but we can get down to the cheap options later. The first name that you see when you look at the midfield is you see a $9,200 James Maddison. And it seems like every week I talk about these things. It's like James Maddison, he's a little expensive and Leicester kind of stink, but at the same time, he always racks up a good floor. So we know that Jordan is in on James Maddison going into the slate. Ryan, what do you think about James Maddison and the other high-priced midfielders on the slate for cash games?
Yeah, midfield's tough. I like Maddison too. I don't. If I didn't play Saka, I would be more likely to consider Maddison. But I like some of the. It's a pretty good matchup actually away to Palace. So yeah, like I can see going there, but I don't really like him better than March or Odegaard, and I feel like I might be in the minority with that. So maybe Jordan can tell us why Maddison's a lock or something like that.
Well, nothing's a lock. In cash games, I care about medians. So it's like, you tell me that I could get, the Monopoly set piece taker of a pick'em team against a Hodgson defense, right? Maybe doesn't score goals, but it's quite possible that Maddison has like 12 crosses, 5 chances created, and 3 shots. they're going to cede possession to Leicester more likely. He's going to play 90 minutes. Leicester need points. So it's not like they're not happy with the draw either. So to me, I view Maddison at 9,200 to have like a higher floor than Saka at what is it, $2,300 cheaper. Saka, yes, has the higher ceiling. I get it, right? I'm not refuting these Arsenal ceilings, but we have a slate where we have these types of guys available that have so much narrow ranges and easier paths to like 10 to 15 points than having to rely on goals and assists. And then these are also the guys that create the chances for goals. So you have Maddison preloaded with 10 to 15 points. If he's on the score sheet, you're screwed. If you don't have him, you're screwed, right? So I don't see that necessarily the same way for the Arsenal player. I see the Arsenal players having lower floors, but higher ceiling. Their range of outcomes is much wider. And just generally in cash games, when I have the ability to do so, I prefer getting there through not having to rely on the most varying aspects of soccer, which are the goals and where they come from, right? Arsenal could score 3 or 4 goals, and then none of these guys really get there enough for their price. They'd be fine. Odegaard's sitting there with 14 points. Okay, he's 8,000. Okay, and I have James Maddison with 18 points. Okay, Saka puts up 19. Would you be happy with that? It's like, yeah, I could cash with that, but did I need to play him? I could find 19 points elsewhere. And I just see these guys in the midfield spots. The only question to me is that in my type of lineup construction is that I don't have enough midfield spots. So if I play the construction like that, I have to seed someone like Pedro Neto or pay up for defender, which I think when we get to it, I'm not sure if there's a reason to on this slate to pay up. I think you're not paying down, but you're not paying up. Then I just look at my lineup with guys like Maddison and Pereira and Gibbs White, and it's like guys that typically play. I mean, Pereira's probably playing 90 with who's out. So, like, I'll take 90 minutes of the guy that takes, like these are the guys that legitimately take nearly every single free kick, every single indirect kick. In a game where where it's at pick'em at worst, like, feel free, Arsenal. Go score your 4 goals and try to, right? If you try to run me down.
So,
yeah,
Jordan,
I mean, I can't. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just to summarize your argument, Jordan, you are conceding that 20% of the time Arsenal might completely bury your lineup, but in those situations, those 80% of the time, you think you're winning enough that it doesn't matter. Would that summarize your philosophy?
This is old school Premier League DFS back in the day style slate where this is why I'm on it's 2023 and I'm still one of the best players in the lobby. Like typically one of my leaks is sometimes I get a little too safe. So I would play like the Joe Matinho types and the Calvin Phillips and the defensive midfielder types. We're not talking about Maddison, Gibbs, White, and Pereira are the attacking central midfielders for these teams. So they have goal ups. Dude, these guys can score goals and assists also. So, like, why am I relying on picking out the right Arsenal players that score goals? Because if you're sitting there and with a Granit Xhaka goal, a center back goal and an own goal, and it's 3-0, and then Reece Nelson comes in for Martinelli at the 64th minute, it's like, right? You're sitting there going, like, what happened? Arsenal did well, and like I didn't get the right guys. It's like, dude, I'm going to play the 3 guys of the teams that they're worst teams, but they're the guys. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to think of Leicester scoring a bunch of goals and Maddison sitting there with 6 points.
Yeah, I can't really argue with it too much. I mean, I think you might be right. Like, good prices on all those guys. They're all good plays. I guess I just sort of what you said at the end. You have to, if I play some of those guys, I have to leave some other guys out. And maybe it's just that I think the floors on the Arsenal guys are a little bit higher, a little bit safer, maybe a little bit more of a sure thing. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just why
or maybe you're right, Ryan, and you should take my $215 head down.
Yeah. I mean, you've brought me back down to earth a little bit, but yeah, I still think that, like, I wouldn't mind just going with the Arsenal capture method because I think there's plenty of floor points and goals and assists.
So hold on. So you're going to play Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard.
If you saw my lineup right now, I'm just looking at it and it's gold. It has 6 Arsenal players
in cash games.
It's just the one I made. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible lineup.
I can see doing that for I can see doing that for the 150 King of the Pitch qualifier. Like, beating 23 entry, you have to win first place. But you think Arsenal is going to do that well that all 6 players?
No, again, maybe I'm wrong. So now's the time to say that, like, Arsenal really hasn't come through in these spots recently. These Arsenal stacks have failed mostly. Again,
a good time to say that.
Like, if you really want me to get into it, like, I think it sort of depends who starts, but yeah, I mean, Arsenal don't have any. They're not in Europa League anymore. I mean, when was the match? Odegaard put up like 27 floor points when they were chasing the game against Bournemouth.
They 27 floor points. You really think that's going to happen again? 12 shots?
If Arsenal don't score, that's what will happen.
Right, because Ryan, that's the reason why you play 6 Arsenal players for the game where they don't
all the other guys had huge floors too. I'm just saying, like, you're going to get there either way. You're going to get there with goals or floor, unless, like you said, maybe you get it.
It's not like these guys are cheap,
right? But it's not like Maddison's cheap.
Yeah, you're still paying for Maddison, and Maddison had a super tilting run out last go around. Like, he got a yellow card, and he only got over 10 points because of an assist. So I don't think Maddison is necessarily bulletproof. Leicester are super inconsistent. He does have the set pieces that make his median more reliable to hit, though.
Well, the point, I think it's more of a question of not necessarily Maddison, but Morgan Gibbs-White. Because, I mean, the forward position is much more scarcer when it comes to floor points. So, like, to me, like, in midfield, Like for midfield, I would rank the midfielders that I would want to play. I would rank like McAllister for the price considered.
Yes.
I would rank them McAllister 1. Probably Madison 2. Madison and Pereira in there. And Neto, I think Neto is the bigger conversation on this slate, because if you tell me he's playing 75 minutes, then I'm going to build a Pedro Neto lineup. Like I'm not going to play one of Madison, Pereira, or McAllister, because I need Neto's 4,100 because he's way underpriced for 75 minutes. But you tell me he's coming off at 60, I'm not sure if I need him. I still would like him. But you tell me he comes off at 45, screw you. You go play him for 45 minutes, and hopefully he's efficient enough to get there for you. But I don't care what the price is. You don't play guys that play 45 minutes in soccer DFS.
Ryan, what do you think about the Pedro Neto situation?
Yeah, I think it's super annoying. But you were right last time. I mean, he was a terrible play. He came off at 45 minutes. That being said, he missed Wolves' best chance of the game, like a shot from 6 yards out that he scuffed. But anyways, yeah, I mean, is he ever going to play more than 45 minutes again? I mean, like, you have to figure out the chances of that before deciding if you want to play him. It seems pretty risky. Like, Lopetegui seems like he's going to be really annoying with these subs. I mean, is Neto not 100% yet, or is he ever going to be? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's so cheap, and it's a pretty good matchup, but I don't know. I don't think it's a must or anything. Like,
yeah, Jordan, to your point about 75 minutes for Neto, let's just pretend that Neto was 100% fit. I don't even know if he goes 75 minutes under this Wolves regime. They rotate all of their forwards and midfielders completely. So that's a good point, I think, to add.
Right,
and
to me, the opportunity cost in midfield is tremendous on this slate. That do I want to take up a 4,100? Do I want to take up a slot? It's not like we need to say the only reason you playing Neto is because you're playing Arsenal players. So, like, if you told me I'm going to build a lineup without Saka, it's like you almost don't need Neto, right? Unless you want to pay up twice at defender for some reason. Like, so it just comes down to, like, how many raw points do I think I could get out of 3 midfield spots with, like, Madison, Pereira, and McAllister? And it's like, I'm so much more comfortable. I mean, look at what I'm telling you. Madison, McAllister, Pereira, Gibbs White, Zaha. Don't you feel you get that nice warm feeling in your stomach? Right? You're leaning back on the couch going like,
a little bit. Yeah, I
right?
do. I see why you're comfortable with it.
Do I Arsenal go out and try to beat me? Just go out.
Yeah, okay. I see. Yeah, I see why you're comfortable with it. Yeah, I don't know.
Neto scores 3 minutes in, and Saka puts up a hat trick, and I'm dead.
You know, really though, it's not going to be surprising at all if there's not 1 goal and assists between the guys you mentioned. Now I know maybe that's fine, but I could still win. Somebody on Arsenal is scoring 30 plus.
Oh, you got lock? Is that a lock? That's a lock.
I mean, it seems like it. No, I don't know, Jordan. I might be wrong about this. You know, sometimes my brain doesn't work for cash games, but
to me, Ryan, the person that the people, like, to me, Saka and Odegaard, like, I understand why you'd play Saka. I'm making the case that Saka is not a bad play. I just don't think the salary distribution is worth playing that type of lineup. And then Odegaard, if you want to make a case that you'd rather play Odegaard over Madison, Pereira, and I'm not counting Gibbs White, because Gibbs White you're using because he could fit in a forward spot. If you want to play Odegaard, if you could find the 1,000 to get from Pereira to Odegaard, I could see the case for that line. To me, Odegaard is the closest to, if you wanted to play,
okay, good, yeah,
Madison and save the 1,200
so, you know,
somewhere else.
we're pretty much on the same page. We're pretty much on the same page because I think Saka is a little bit too expensive. I don't think he's a must because you can make great lineups without Saka because you don't have to use one of those punts. And then, yeah, it is Odegaard. I think, we'll see. Maybe I'm overvaluing him. To me, he's probably the best midfielder on the slate. So that's like, it gets me more towards Arsenal. But yeah, these other midfielders are good too.
Ryan, do you think your tendency towards Arsenal might have to do with the fact that you might be thinking about a 10-man contest where it's a winner take all, which kind of feels like a cash game, but you want that more upside versus just like a straight up double up?
Yeah, I think you're right. I've been playing those. I've been playing these 4 and 5 man winner take alls, and especially during this international break where we were just stacking the favorite. I mean, basically every slate, it was just stacking the favorites. So then I see here, and maybe I'm overrating this spot, but home against Leeds is a good spot, especially for this Arsenal team. Like, we haven't, if Partey starts, I guess, so they've been a much different team with Partey than with Jorginho. I think, I look at stuff like if Jorginho were to start, I think there's a higher likelihood that Arsenal could bust. But like if I see Partey in there and it's just the A lineup, I just think they're going to blitz Leeds and be all over them, score a ton of goals or put up more floor points than any other team. So yeah, if I'm wrong about that, maybe I'll just lose. But also maybe you're right though. You are right in that it's more of a winner take all strategy, which is sort of the stuff I've been playing. And now Jordan mentioned like that's the type of lineup that I would play in the King of the Pitch if I was still allowed to play it. So yeah, maybe not for the 50-50 cash games.
No, but the point I made that point because those are the types of lineups I play in the 150. If you notice my lineups in the 150, a lot of times I'm like, oh, everyone in cash is playing these 2 guys from Man City, and I'm playing 5. Man, I'm like, I want all of like if Gundogan scores, no one has him and I have the assist from the other guy. Like I could see that for a contest where you want to come in first out of 23 people, first out of 20 people, first out of 10, maybe not first out of 1,600 people, but first out of those, if you were playing a 5-man winner take all, I'd be much more inclined to like, how do I get a little bit more correlated and a little bit more upside combinations together? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you know that your opponents are going to be playing more median style lineups and maybe no one has Odegaard. Maybe only 2 people have Saka, build the soccer construction. And then he puts up 36 points and you don't even have to worry. You could have a 0 on the right. You could have a negative goalkeeper and win the 5-man that way. But like if you're playing 34-man double ups, 23-man double ups, head to heads across, rando people that are taking your $50 and $109 head to heads. Like, dude, if possible, I look at a slate through the lens of if no goals get scored, who are the highest scoring players on the slate, and I try to play as many of those as possible.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
I find myself persuaded, Jordan. You're a good teacher. I think we really haven't mentioned so much $6,500 Alec McAllister. He's a ridiculously good play at that price, especially if he's attacking midfield for Brighton. So we just want to emphasize, we haven't been talking about him much, but that's probably because he's a shoo-in in cash games. Anyone want to disagree with that?
No, he's one of the rare players in soccer in EPL DFS where he takes no set pieces and probably still should be 8,500.
I can't really think of another player like that. It's really weird. Yeah, he takes no set pieces and he's not like 4K. He's 6 or 7K and you're still like, yeah, he's a cash play. No, I agree. I can't really think of many other players like that.
Well, I guess to me, I view Zaha as that type of player also.
For
right?
forward.
It's just that Zaha typically is priced at 8,000, 8,500, and we're going, okay, he's going to be low owned because
but he doesn't have like as safe or a high of a floor as McAllister.
Well, also McAllister plays for a way better team.
Right. That's right. That's why.
Yeah. So opportunity cost is pretty high at midfield. So outside of Thomas Partey, and then we have, the Pedro Neto, who the heck knows what's going on. Are there any other cheap midfielders worth looking at?
Not for cash games. I mean, truthfully, like if this is the type of slate where I'm not playing 3 defenders, I'm playing 3 midfielders, and to
3
me,
good ones.
Right. To me, it's Madison, It's Pereira, right? It's 7,000. You could throw in Odegaard. Okay, that's fine. McAllister, and then if you're going down, I'd rather, if you're going to go down to 4K, just play Pedro Neto because he's probably fairly priced for 45 minutes.
I agree with that.
He's fair. Like if I told you he was only going to play 45 minutes and he's 4,100, like I don't think who are you going to play at 4,100 that's going to score 10, 15 points anyway? So I don't think you're losing out that much by playing him. But if he plays more than that, like he should be 6,000, 7,000. So you're just getting the upside there. So because we have a situation like that, like why am I playing Jefferson Lerma? Like why am I taking a shot on I'm going up and I'm going to take Ruben Neves at 5,200 for no reason. Or if Philip Dillon at 5,900. Like it just seems like if you're down in that range, you're just playing Pedro Neto.
The one name that stuck out to me was João Gomez, 3,500 for Wolves, who kind of gets a little bit forward as a central midfielder, but I don't really want to do it. It's just a name that if you have that much money left over, maybe you should just reevaluate the entire lineup instead of playing João Gomez.
Yeah. I think you're right. No João Gomez. I was looking at him, but Thomas Partey, right? I mean, I know you mentioned him, but I think that's a decision between him and Neto. If you have that for midfield, I don't know. It does seem kind of crazy that they're the same price, but
I have two other people that I would be remiss to not mention. But there are concerns on both of these guys. One is whether or not Hamed Traore plays.
Oh yes,
at 6,400 for Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth is favored. I mean, slightly, whatever. I think Tavernier's back. I don't know how he's going to affect like how Dango or Jaden Anthony, like how I don't know how they're going to line up. I don't know. And then also, what is Hodgson's effect on Michael Olise? Because these are guys that have good floors also. I mean, like Michael Olise is one of the highest floor players, with set piece responsibility for Crystal Palace. That if you told me you were going to play Olise over Pereira, I wouldn't call you nuts. I mean, Olise is one of the highest floor players that there are. So, like, do I want to play Zaha and Olise together on a 5-game slate with a Hodgson-managed Palace team? That's a little iffy to me, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't call you, like, nuts if you wanted to play him. But Traore at 6,400, like, I'd much rather play McAllister than Traore at 6,400. But these are guys that are in the comp. This is the main reason why, why do I have to play Odegaard? And then, why do I have to play Neto? And then it's like, if I play 3 of these guys, I don't have the money to play Saka at 11.5. And then I have to punt with, Vinicius in that type of lineup. It just makes it – there are all these midfielders that have nice high floors. It just makes it more and more that, do I need Arsenal in my lineup?
No, I don't think you need that. Here's the thing, you keep saying, do you need, but I want Arsenal. No, I mean, Odegaard is 8K. I mean, these other guys are the same price. They're all fine plays. I don't know, not going to keep talking about it, but yeah, I agree with you on.
When I say by need is that the Arsenal Odegaard could.
Okay, here's the thing. So
and these guys could also. It's one of those things where even if the Arsenal players do well, these guys could still come close to matching that anyway.
Okay, I agree. They could and I agree with you about Olise. If you want to choose him over Pereira, I think that's fine too. But choosing one of these guys means you can't have an Arsenal player in that spot. I don't know. That's what I keep coming back to. Yeah, they're all fine plays, but I'm going to miss out. Odegaard has the same floor and twice the ceiling. So yeah, I'm going to find the 1,000 for him. I don't know. Again, I might be wrong if our Arsenal is just going to bust in my face, but that's just how I'm thinking about this slate.
I got $5 head-to-heads posted also.
Okay, but you can't play Rob Holding or Ramsdale either.
Who said I'm playing either of those guys anyway?
I didn't think you were, but I'm just saying those count too as Arsenal guys.
And what a great segue that is into the defender position. So we've kind of talked about this early on. None of the high-priced defenders seem particularly enticing. Like they're solid plays, but they're not worth prioritizing, at least to me. Like a Stupinan, like players like Saramek play Stupinan almost every week, it seems. But at 6,400 for like an 8-point floor, that feels a little bit rich. Kenny Chete, that feels rich at 6,300. And Zinchenko, Adam in his article mentioned that if Tierney is not on the bench, Zinchenko's more likely to go 90. So maybe that's more of a tournament option. Ryan, do any of these high-end defenders appeal to you? Like, who's the most expensive defender that you're looking at that you want to play in cash games?
Yeah, for cash games, probably not. I think they're overpriced, like you said. You can't really pay 64 for Stupinan. It's a good point made by Adam. If Tierney's not on the bench, I think Zinchenko has the highest floor and highest ceiling of all the defenders. If you're giving him 90 minutes, then yeah, I think that's a pretty good tournament play. But I don't think you're in this range for cash games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about like
I don't think
first
Jordan.
First names that come up to me are like Anthony Robinson at 4,600 and Renan Lodi at 4,800. Jordan, you're probably playing both of those guys with the way that your pricing works out.
You're naming my lineup. You're pretty much right. I think you could also depending on the Wolves lineup play Semedo. Just also understand with these Wolves players that any of these guys could come out at 60 minutes. I mean, like it's 3,400. He's probably underpriced, but like if you wanted to, you don't have to, right? But I mean, the two that I was looking at where you're not spending up, but you're not spending down are Lodi and Robinson. I think they have the highest floor. I don't think their floors are dramatically different than the ones that are the defenders that are 1,000 more, right? Outside of maybe in the case with Zinchenko. But I don't even think you have to get up to Zinchenko. But yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
What about, so I guess we're talking about the Wolves guys. I think Johnny Otto is still suspended. We should double check that. So if he's not on the bench and Bueno isn't on the bench, then I think Ryan Aït-Nouri at 4,200 would be a much better defender play because he often ventures forward in this Wolves formation. So those are some 4K guys there. So in cash right now, I have a lot of the expensive guys. I have Madison, I have Saka, I have Gibbs White, and it's forcing me at defender to play Rob Holding and Nelson Semedo. I'm not entirely happy about this. Are you giving up too much at defender if you're paying down like that? Or is it worth, sacrificing Saka or sacrificing at other positions to make sure that you can get up to maybe a more reliable 6 points, something like a Lodi, 6 to 8 points that like a Lodi and Robinson can provide? Basically, is doing Holding Semedo spending too little? Is that too risky for cash games?
I don't think so. So yeah, like I think Robinson's probably the best point per dollar. He's probably who I'd go with in cash games. Lodi, I mean, yeah, Lodi's fine too, but I don't know. I look at him and I see 3 straight yellow cards and some early subs, and they have another left back on the bench, and also he's going to be up against Adama Traore for some of the time. So I can leave underdog Lodi and for 4,800. Yeah, Rob Holding I think's fine, and Semedo, man, I should probably not talk about. I mean, I've talked about Semedo plenty. He's never seemed to really do it for me, but I'd be fine playing him. I mean, it's against Forest and it's 3,400. So no, I wouldn't mind. I don't think that's bad. I actually think like the only guy, like Robinson's the one that I'm like, worried about fading. Like if I didn't play Robinson and he scores like 10 or 12 or something, that could be trouble. So yeah, I think Robinson's pretty decent.
Yeah, if I had to rank them, I think Robinson would be my preferred. Everything is price adjusted, so with that usual caveat, it would be Robinson. I think Rob Holding's just too cheap for his clean sheet odds, and you can that's how you find the 1,000 to get up to Martin Odegaard. I mean, that's something I'm a little bit more inclined to do. And then Semedo 3,400. We talked a lot about Nelson Semedo, I think, in the show before the international break, Ryan. And he's kind of like a frustrating player, but you mentioned that he has good attributes, and at 3,400 on the wing, even on the road at Forest, I feel like that's got to be fine. I mean, you're just paying cheap for a decent fullback.
Yeah, I still feel like he's underperformed expectation for basically the whole year, at least just by a little bit. And some of it is because Wolves have been bad, and I don't know. I think he's a little bit better than 3,400. Wolves have been bad, not creating a lot of chances, different managers. But against Forest is a good matchup. I'd be fine paying 3,400 for him.
Yeah. And I really don't, going back to the previous comment, like playing Holding and Semedo, I don't get to have Robinson, but you're really just not sacrificing too much at defender. So I think spending down twice is not as big a mistake as it often can be on DraftKings.com. Maybe I should put it that way. There might be some trade-offs that make it worth it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, it's just to play devil's advocate. I've been playing these center backs sometimes, and I see Arsenal, they only have 44% to keep a clean sheet. Seems like they haven't really kept clean sheets in these spots sometimes. So, maybe I'm overrating somebody like Holding, but yeah, for 3K, I like the clean sheet equity. And I also think, Holding's got a goal in him. He's at least, like, I'd be very surprised if he didn't have at least one shot in this game. Yeah, I don't know. 3K is just too cheap for the Arsenal center back.
Yeah, it lets you do a lot. Two other defenders, very cheap. You have Joachim Anderson at 2,600 and Craig Dawson at 2,700. Adam isn't here, so I have to mention them for him. So if you want your center back goal, those are the two places I would look to.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lineup where I couldn't even. I think those guys are fine. Obviously, those guys can score goals. Dawson too, but I couldn't even afford them on one build that I was looking at. So I had to go all the way down to 2,500 in this Musa Niakate, or however you say his name, just back for Forest. So
there you go.
You might see him in one of my lineups if the lineups are as expected.
He's going to score a header off of a Morgan Gibbs White Cross.
You're right, exactly.
There you go. Well, Jordan, do you have anything that you want to say about these low-priced defenders, or should we move on to 1 minute on goalkeeper? You're on mute, Jordan.
Well, I don't need to really say much. It's goalkeeper, play whoever you want. What I'm going to do, though, in my lineup, I already have it. Ryan, I have the lineup. Maybe I play I could play Holding and Steele, but then I wouldn't. I still be playing one Arsenal player. So just to increase the variance against Ryan, my lineup, if it fits in this way, would be Gibbs White, Zaha, Madison, McAllister, Pereira, Lodi, Robinson, and I got $3,800 left. So if you're going to play Arsenal, I'll play the keeper against them. I'll play Meslier in that one.
Okay. I mean, I have to take some of your head-to-heads just out of principle,
I can't guarantee you that I won't play Holding. I can't guarantee you that I won't play Odegaard. I can't guarantee you that in your specific head-to-head that I just block Odegaard and play other players and make sure that Odegaard doesn't kill me.
What happened to no Arsenal players? I thought that was the deal.
Yeah, the caveats are coming here.
Okay. No,
yeah, what's going on now? This is
assuming the predicted 11s come out the way that they are, and I will make sure that if you take my head-to-head, I will not play, even if I play Holding or something in my main cash lineup, when I play everywhere else, in the lineup against you, I will not play a single Arsenal player, which includes center backs and goalkeepers. And it can't if ARS is in my lineup, because no matter what it is. But I mean, once you start, if for some odd reason Madison's not in and McAllister
I know.
and
Right.
it's like, okay, then now I am playing Arsenal players. So as long as the slate remains kind of the way it is, right? Like if Morgan Gibbs, I mean, we're talking about people that are going to play. Like Gibbs White and Zaha are going to be, like, all these guys are going to be in.
All these guys are going to be in. Yep, I agree.
Take my 215, big shot. I need to sell my 215 somehow, because I can't sell them otherwise.
Okay. I mean, you asked for it. Maybe I asked for it. We'll see.
No, I think you asked for it. I think you put down the gauntlet, and I said I'll take you.
Right. I was just sort of offended by the Arsenal disrespect.
Well, if you want to see the results of this head-to-head, you'll have to become a RotoWire subscriber, and then you can
Hey,
go to
wait, sorry, Jack. I got to
rotowire.com/best
interrupt you once more.
Oh,
Sorry.
please.
I don't know. This just been on my mind because there's a forward that I can't believe nobody mentioned that people plenty of people playing cash games all the time. And I was just waiting for one of you guys to bring him up and nobody ever did.
Who is it?
Pascal Gross?
Oh, come on. I can't do that to myself.
I thought
No,
we don't
good.
bring him up anymore.
Okay, sorry. I thought one of you guys was going to make the argument for him here. And
no, he's an $8,400 defensive midfielder.
Hey, well, I know, but we're talking about Gibbs White, and he's playing for, a better team. Okay, no, I wanted to tell people because I wanted to tell people that if you're playing head-to-heads, if you're playing cash games, and you see somebody with Pascal Gross in their lineup, take a little note of who that player is and try to go get their head-to-heads for the rest of the season. Just wanted to give people a little bit of advice going forward.
Yeah, but you could probably say the same advice for if someone has
if someone stacks Arsenal.
No, or Pats and DACA or something. I mean, you can say that about a lot of things, right?
No, come on. No, because Pascal Gross is owned. He seems like he's owned still some people think he's a cash play on this slate. I don't know. Maybe
he has a floor, but he doesn't have an $8,400 worthy floor.
No penalties anymore either. It's just a non-starter.
You guys agree. I just thought maybe we would have thrown his name out there. You still see people rostering him. And if people aren't playing Saka, you never know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up cash game stuff. So we really haven't talked much tournaments, so maybe we can do that pretty quickly. It's a 5-game slate, so there's a lot of ways to go, and Arsenal are going to be fairly popular. So, Jordan, what's your approach to GPPs? Are you inclined to maybe try a stack Arsenal, or are you going to look to one of these other 3 toss-ups and try to find
I think I'm more likely to stack one. What I'm looking into is stacking either stacking to some extent, like 3+2, something like that, of Fulham Bournemouth. So playing something like Vinicius, Pereira, Robinson, Solanke, Anthony, or Billing or something, something like that. And in that lineup, it's cheap enough that you could probably play Saka in utility. You could even play an Arsenal. You could play a high price guy. You could play Madison in that lineup. I also have the Leicester Crystal Palace, where you could play Zaha, Olise, Madison, Tete. You could do whatever. That type of thing. And then Brighton. Maybe not play a Brentford player, but maybe Ivan Toney. He's overpriced at 7,900 for this slate, but I could see if Welbeck starts, he's not going to play 90, but maybe they score early. Matoma. I think the Brighton, I don't think the Brighton, it's like any other Brighton slate. They're never the highest top team total team. So they tend to be under-owned. And then no specific player is the most owned of those under-owned, where it's in large field, they're not going to be 5% owned, but Matoma is going to be 8%, and McAllister is going to be 18%, and March is going to be 12%. It's dude, Brighton could score 4 goals here, no problem. So, I can play that. I don't know if I'm playing anyone on the Brentford side, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think the Wolves Nottingham Forest is the least appealing game, and it's primarily due to the fact that the fucking 5 people come in for the Wolves lineups that you never get anyone. They have to score early in order for it to be worth it to play them, and then there's really the Forest value. You're playing Gibbs White or Lodi primarily for floors, not for ceilings. So to me, those are the guys that in GPP, I'm more likely to fade of Morgan Gibbs White in GPP for an Ivan Toney type, for a goal scorer type than anyone else on this slate. So in my cash lineup, the fadeable players are Gibbs White and Pereira, right? Even Madison to some extent. Those types of players, they could give you 12 points or whatever, but I could use those players to stack the other players in the game. So if I'm playing Madison, well, who does he get I want to play Harvey Barnes, right? I want to play DACA. I want to play, something like that. If I'm playing Pereira, I want to play Vinicius at 4,000, right? And then I want to play like Solanke. I want to these cheap Bournemouth guys if that game goes off. I think that's much better. And unless Ryan, you're going to be playing Arsenal lineups that have like what, Patrick Bamford or something. I mean, Leeds players in it. You think Arsenal's just going to steamroll them 5-0?
No. I could see Leeds scoring. But if I played like Arsenal stacks, it would have someone like Edouard maybe for 3,500 if you're trying to afford Saka and all that other stuff. This slate, it seems like a lot of the slates we've had, like they're all similar in that Brighton always seems to be in this spot at home in a decent matchup with like a 1.8, 1.9 total as the second top team. I mean, it just keeps happening every slate, and people, you mentioned it. They don't really love to play Brighton here, so they're not going to be over-owned. I will probably, I'm not going to have more than one or two guys that aren't from Arsenal or Brighton out of my 5 spots, 2 forwards, 2 mids, and util. Like, I'll have at least 3 Brighton or Arsenal in all my lineups. Like, I don't overthink these spots. I've been doing it on every slate, and then I'll try to find a cheaper goal from somewhere. I don't know. Not much else to say. I'm just play the best plays, I guess.
I agree. It feels like the 10th slate in a row where I would be recommending, well, Solly March, he looks like a good in this spot. And then McAllister as well. I mean, it's like literally like the 3rd slate in a row where I'll just be running out a bunch of GPP lineups with 2 of those guys.
Right. Like if I don't play Arsenal, it's like, oh, now I get a chance to play Solly March. So like I just end up on Brighton. So it's hard for me to get past that. But I will look for some cheaper spots. I like Bournemouth. I like the cheap Palace guys. Like Jordan said, it's tough with Wolves, really tough with Wolves. I don't know. I don't really want to play Carlos Vinicius. I think he's fine, but like maybe a bit over-owned for 4K, and just I feel like people will play him in tournaments.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't know. Not a lot else to say. I mean, it's you can come up with a few different strategies that are all good strategies depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, you just have to hope that you picked the right spot.
Right.
I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to get off their chest. It's going to be April Fool's Day tomorrow, though. So is there like a player, a coach, or a team that's most likely to April Fool us in one way or another? If I have to nominate someone.
What's going to end up happening is Ryan at lock is going to open up our head-to-head and see that I've played all Arsenal players.
Yeah, well, that's why. Hey, that's why I had to get married tonight instead of tomorrow. They didn't want an April Fool's wedding.
An April Fool.
Yeah,
you have
like
the
bad karma sort of thing. I don't know.
If I have to pick an April Fool, I think Roy Hodgson might April Fool us with a nice wide open attacking Crystal Palace side. Everyone's going to be excited to have their grandpa back coaching them, and it's just going to spark a good performance. So I think that might be your sneaky April Fool slot. That is not financial advice, though. So I think with that we can call it a show. Good luck, everybody, on the slate tomorrow. Adam's article is up on the website. We should have a FanDuel article up as well. And if you ask nicely, I think Adam might even do some showdown videos for us Sunday or Monday. But otherwise, I hope you finish second place in all the contests that I'm in, and I hope you win all the contests that I'm not in. And yeah, good luck, everyone.
Good luck, everybody.